The house had been silent for 18 months. Not the peaceful kind of silence, but the kind that presses on your chest until breathing feels like a mistake. Andrew Whitmore knew that silence better than anyone. It followed him through empty hallways, into sleepless nights, into the places where guilt grows sharp and heavy. He was a billionaire who could buy anything except the one thing he needed most, his children's voices. So when he came home unannounced and heard laughter echoing from his kitchen, his heart didn't lift. It stopped, because that sound wasn't supposed to exist anymore. What he saw next shattered him in ways no business loss ever had. Relief collided with shame. Love collided with jealousy. And in a single moment, Andrew would make a decision that exposed his deepest fear, his hidden prejudice, and the kind of man he truly was. Stay with me, because what happens next will destroy everything he thought he was protecting. Andrew Whitmore had built his fortune on timing, buying before others believed, selling before others saw the cracks. He could read markets the way some men read faces, but there was one place where timing had failed him completely: his own home. The Whitmore estate sat in Greenfield Hills, Connecticut, quiet and immaculate, a place where nothing ever seemed out of order. 12 bedrooms, marble floors that reflected sunlight like water, a house so large it echoed even when no one spoke. And for the past 18 months, no one had. Andrew's wife, Laura, had died on a rain-slicked stretch of Park Avenue when a drunk driver ran a red light. She was gone before the ambulance arrived. Andrew was in San Francisco finalizing a deal worth more money than most people would see in 10 lifetimes when his phone rang. By the time he stood at her funeral, wearing a black suit that suddenly felt too tight around his chest, something inside him had already broken. Their daughters broke too. Ellie, Hannah, and Grace, 4 years old, identical triplets with Laura's eyes and Andrew's stubborn chin. They had been loud once. Ellie used to recite entire picture books from memory. Hannah asked why about everything. Grace sang made-up songs in the bathtub, off-key and fearless. After the funeral, they stopped. All of them, at the same time. No crying, no screaming, no words. Doctors called it selective mutism, triggered by trauma. Andrew called every specialist money could buy. Private clinics in Boston, child psychologists flown in from Europe, therapies with names so complicated he couldn't pronounce them. Nothing worked. The girls sat together, holding hands, staring past the world as if it no longer belonged to them. Andrew tried to stay at first. He really did, but the silence pressed against him. The house felt like a tomb built with his own money. So he did what men like him always do when things can't be fixed. He ran. He buried himself in work, early flights, late meetings, 70-hour weeks, anywhere but home. That was how Renee Walker entered his life without him noticing. Renee was hired by Mrs. Dorothy Lane, the house manager who had been with the family since before Andrew's first million. Renee was 29, black, from South Harlem. She worked days cleaning offices and studied early childhood education at night. She was raising her teenage nephew after her sister died 2 years earlier. She understood grief, not in theory, in her bones. Andrew saw her once, briefly, carrying a basket of laundry down the hall. She nodded politely. He walked past without returning the gesture. To him, she was just part of the background. Another person paid to keep things running so he didn't have to look too closely. But the girls noticed. Renee never tried to force them to talk. She didn't ask questions, didn't touch without permission. She cleaned quietly, humming low under her breath. Old gospel songs her grandmother used to sing. Soft, steady, present. The kind of sound that doesn't demand attention, but waits to be invited in. The first week, Ellie watched her from the doorway, while Renee made the beds. The second week, Hannah sat on the floor nearby, pretending not to listen while Renee folded laundry. By the third week, Grace left a crayon drawing on the counter, a yellow butterfly. Renee picked it up like it was something priceless. "This is beautiful," she whispered. Not loud enough for praise, just enough for truth. Something shifted. It happened slowly, the way healing often does. The girls started whispering to Renee when they thought no one else could hear. Then sentences, then laughter, surprised and fragile, like glass that hadn't realized it could shatter again. Andrew didn't know any of this. He was in Seattle when it happened. A meeting ran long. His assistant offered to book him another hotel. Andrew declined without knowing why. Something in his chest felt wrong, heavy. He booked a flight home without calling ahead. When he walked through the front door, the house felt the same at first. Silent, hollow. Then he heard it. Laughter. His hand froze on his briefcase. Children's laughter. Real laughter. His heart slammed against his ribs so hard it hurt. He followed the sound down the hall, every step shaking, until he reached the kitchen. Sunlight poured through the windows. Grace sat on Renee's shoulders, giggling as her hands tangled in Renee's hair. Ellie and Hannah sat barefoot on the counter, legs swinging, singing off-key. They were singing. His daughters were singing. "You are my sunshine." Andrew couldn't breathe. His briefcase slipped from his hand and hit the floor behind him. He didn't notice. For 3 seconds, all he felt was relief, so sharp it made his knees weak. Gratitude. Hope. The impossible sense that maybe the world hadn't taken everything after all. Then something darker rose up. Shame, jealousy, rage. This woman. Rage. This black woman he paid to clean his floors had done what he couldn't. While he was building towers and closing deals, she had brought his daughters back to life. And instead of gratitude, Andrew felt replaced. "What is going on here?" His voice cut through the room like a slap. The singing stopped instantly. Grace flinched. Renee carefully lifted her down, her hands shaking. "This is inappropriate," Andrew snapped, his face burning. "You were hired to clean, not to turn my kitchen into a playground." Renee's voice stayed calm. "I was just spending time with them, sir." "I don't want to hear it. You crossed a line." He didn't notice the way the girls' faces changed, the way their bodies stiffened. "You're fired," Andrew said. "Pack your things, leave." Renee didn't beg. She didn't argue. She nodded once, dignity held tight like armor, and walked past him. Tears slipped down her cheeks, silent. The girls climbed down from the counter and took each other's hands. They didn't look at Renee. They didn't look at Andrew either. They walked out together. The house went quiet again. Andrew stood alone in the kitchen, staring at the dresses Renee had been folding. The sunlight felt harsh now, accusing. His chest tightened. That night, Mrs. Lane told him the truth. "They've been talking for weeks," she said quietly. To her. Andrew's glass slipped from his hand. Weeks. His daughters had been healing, and he hadn't even noticed. And in 10 seconds, he had destroyed it. He sat alone in his study long after midnight, staring at a photograph of Laura holding the girls when they were babies. His voice broke in the silence. What did I do? He didn't know it yet, but that question would follow him everywhere. Because for the first time in his life, money could not undo the damage he had caused. And the person who held the power to save his daughters was the very woman he had treated as invisible. Before the story continues, let me ask you something. Do you think Andrew acted out of fear or prejudice, even if he didn't realize it? Yes or no? And one more question. If love comes from someone society teaches you to look down on, do you accept it or reject it? The house didn't just fall silent after Renee Walker left. It collapsed. Andrew Whitmore noticed it first at breakfast the next morning. The plates were untouched. 3 little bowls of cereal sat exactly where he placed them, milk warm and untouched, spoons resting like they were afraid to move. Ellie, Hannah, and Grace sat at the table, hands folded in their laps, eyes fixed on the wood grain, as if staring hard enough might make the world disappear again. They didn't speak. They didn't cry. They didn't even look at him. Andrew cleared his throat. Girls? Nothing. He tried again, softer. Hey, it's Daddy. Still nothing. That silence felt different this time. Not numb, not distant. It was sharp, deliberate, like a door closing. By noon, Mrs. Dorothy Lane stood in the doorway of his study, her posture stiff, her expression tighter than he'd ever seen it. She didn't bring tea. She didn't sit. You fired the wrong person, she said. Andrew looked up. I did what was appropriate. Her jaw clenched. No, you did what was comfortable. That word landed harder than he expected. You don't get to punish a woman for loving your children, she continued, especially not when she did the work you couldn't bring yourself to do. Andrew stood. You think I wanted to miss it? You think I chose that? Mrs. Lane didn't raise her voice. She didn't have to. Intent doesn't erase impact, and your daughters just learned a very dangerous lesson. Andrew swallowed. What lesson? That love isn't safe, she said. That the people who show up for them can disappear at any moment, and that the man with the power will always decide who belongs. Her words echoed long after she left the room. That afternoon, Andrew found a small cardboard box tucked behind the sofa in the playroom. Inside were drawings, crayon butterflies, stick figures holding hands, 3 shaky signatures at the bottom of each page. Miss Renee. His chest tightened. That night, Andrew didn't sleep. He stood outside the girl's bedroom door listening. At first, there was nothing. Then came whispers. I don't think she's coming back, Ellie said. Daddy scared her, Hannah replied. Grace sniffed. People always leave. Andrew slid down the wall, his back hitting the floor. His daughters were speaking again, but not to him. They were speaking through him, and every word cut. The next morning, Andrew did something he had never done before. He asked for help. Mrs. Lane gave him Renee's address without meeting his eyes. Don't make this worse, she said quietly. The building in South Harlem looked nothing like the places Andrew usually visited. Peeling paint, a cracked stoop, a neighborhood where his tailored suit made him stand out like an accusation. A teenage boy opened the door. Who are you? The boy asked, eyes sharp, already defensive. My name is Andrew Whitmore, he said. I'm looking for Renee Walker. Recognition flashed across the boy's face. Anger followed fast. You're the guy who fired her. Andrew nodded. I made a mistake. The boy laughed, bitter. That's funny, because she cried all night. The door closed. Andrew stood there longer than he meant to. No security, no assistant, no money to smooth the moment. Just a door that would not open. He came back the next day, and the next. On the 4th day, the door opened. Renee stood there, arms crossed, eyes tired but steady. She didn't invite him in. What do you want? She asked. Andrew swallowed his pride. To apologize. She studied him for a long moment. You already did what you wanted to do. I was wrong, he said. I didn't know. That's the problem, she cut in. You didn't know, and you didn't care to. Her words were calm, controlled. That hurt more than yelling. You humiliated me in front of your children, Renee continued. You showed them that someone like me can be erased in a moment. Do you have any idea how dangerous that lesson is for black children to witness? Andrew flinched. I wasn't thinking about race. Renee's eyes hardened. That doesn't mean it wasn't there. Silence stretched between them. My daughters stopped speaking again, Andrew said finally. They trusted you, and I destroyed that. Renee's jaw tightened. That wasn't my responsibility. You made it mine without asking. He nodded. I know, but I'm asking now. She shook her head. I don't come back to places where love gets punished. Andrew reached into his coat and pulled out the box of drawings. His hands trembled as he held it out. They made these for you. Renee hesitated. Then she took the box, opened it slowly, her breath caught. Breath. They hid them under their pillows, Andrew said quietly. Every night. Tears slipped down Renee's face. She didn't wipe them away. They think they made you leave, he added. They think loving you was a mistake. That did it. Renee closed the box and pressed it to her chest. Those girls learned to trust again, she said, voice shaking. And you taught them that trust is temporary. I was afraid, Andrew said. Afraid that I didn't matter. Renee looked at him then, really looked at him. You mattered. You just weren't there. She took a breath. If I come back, everything changes. I'll change, he said immediately. No, she replied. You'll show up. That's different. She laid out her conditions without raising her voice. No more disappearing into work. No more treating love like a service you can outsource. No more speaking down to the people who care for his children. This isn't about fixing them, Renee said. It's about protecting them. Andrew nodded, tears burning his eyes. I understand. Do you? She asked quietly. Because this will cost you. He didn't answer right away. Then he did. I don't care. Renee didn't agree immediately. She asked for time. 2 days. When Andrew returned home, the girls sat in the same place as before, silent, holding hands. I saw Miss Renee today, he said gently. Ellie's eyes flickered. She saw your drawings, he continued. She cried. Grace looked up. Is she mad at us? No, Andrew whispered. She loves you. That night, Andrew canceled meetings. He stayed home, He waited. On the second day, the doorbell rang. Renee stood there. The girls ran. Their voices filled the house like sunlight breaking through clouds. Laughter, tears, words tumbling over each other. Andrew stood back, watching. For the first time, he didn't feel replaced. He felt grateful, and he understood something he'd been blind to before. This wasn't about wealth or power or control. It was about who stays when it would be easier to walk away. The house did not heal all at once. That was the first thing Andrew Whitmore learned after Renee Walker came back. The first night, the girls talked themselves to sleep, words spilling out too fast, like they were afraid silence might steal them again. Andrew sat on the floor outside their bedroom door, listening, afraid to interrupt, afraid to move, afraid that if he stood up too fast, the miracle would disappear. Renee stayed late that evening, helping calm them when the emotions became too much. When the house finally quieted, she stood in the kitchen, folding towels the same way she always had. Andrew watched her for a long moment before speaking. "Thank you," he said. Renee didn't look up. "This isn't a favor. This is work, and healing isn't linear." He nodded. "I know." She glanced at him then. "Do you?" Andrew didn't answer right away. For once, he didn't rush to fill the silence. He had learned that silence wasn't always something to escape. The next morning, Andrew canceled his flight to Boston, then another to Chicago, then another. His assistant panicked. Investors called. Meetings piled up. For the first time in his life, Andrew didn't care. He made breakfast, burned the toast. The girls laughed. Not at him, with him. That afternoon, he sat on the floor while Renee helped the girls draw. Grace pressed a crayon into his hand and pointed to the paper. Andrew hesitated. "I don't draw," he said. "Yes, you do," Renee replied calmly. "You just stopped trying." That sentence stayed with him. The real test came a week later. Andrew attended a small dinner with business partners he couldn't avoid. When one man casually asked who was watching the kids, Andrew answered without thinking. "Our caregiver," he said. "She's family." The man smirked. "You mean the maid?" The room went quiet. Andrew felt the old instinct rise up. Smooth it over, laugh it off, keep things comfortable. Instead, he stood. "Her name is Renee," he said evenly, "and she saved my children when I failed them. If that makes you uncomfortable, that's your problem." The man flushed. Someone coughed. Another looked away. Andrew left early. When he got home, Renee was reading to the girls. He didn't interrupt. He watched from the doorway, heart heavy and full at the same time. Later that night, Renee found him sitting alone in the study. "You didn't have to do that," she said. "I did," he replied, "for them and for me." Renee studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded once. The weeks passed, slowly, deliberately. The girls had bad days. Days when they clung to Renee and wouldn't look at Andrew. Days when fear returned without warning. Andrew stayed anyway. He learned not to take it personally, learned to apologize without excuses, learned to sit with discomfort instead of running from it. One night, Ellie climbed into his lap and whispered, "You didn't make Miss Renee leave this time." Andrew held her tighter. "I won't again." It wasn't a promise made lightly. 6 months later, the house felt different. Not perfect, real. Renee no longer wore a uniform. She ate dinner at the table. The girls called her Aunt Renee. Andrew listened more than he spoke. He learned to ask instead of assume, to see instead of overlook. One afternoon, they planted sunflowers in the garden. Renee told the girls they always turned toward the light, even after long nights. Grace looked up at Andrew. "Like us?" "Yes," he said, "like us." A yellow butterfly landed on the seed packet. The girls went quiet. "That's Mommy," Hannah whispered. Andrew knelt beside them. "I think she's proud of you," he said. "All of you." He looked at Renee then, gratitude written plainly across his face. This wasn't redemption. It was responsibility, and it was enough. Because true wealth, Andrew finally understood, wasn't what he built. It was who he chose to become when the silence broke. Before we say goodbye, let me ask you something. Did this story make you rethink how power and prejudice show up in everyday life? Yes or no? Do you believe real change is possible when people choose accountability over comfort? Yes or no? If this story touched you, please comment 111 below to let me know. And one more thing. Tell me where you're watching from. What country are you in right now? If you believe stories like this matter, please share this video. You never know who needs to hear it.